Welcome to this latest edition of the Ril Dil podcast. I'm your host, Ril Gerald Quinn, episode 1019. Block that kick. There was a recurring theme on the NFL Sunday with some big kicks being blocked that, in essence, decided or helped decide a couple of games, and that's where we begin in Philadelphia. The game of the week. Philadelphia gets by edges out the Rams 33-26. This was a tale of two halves. The Rams really manhandled Philadelphia in the first half. Um, Philadelphia had like 34 yards, something if that, in the first half. The passing game was not there at all. The Rams were up like 19-7. Should have been up more. It should have been up more. Those they had to settle for a lot of field goals. Give Philadelphia's red zone defense some credit on that. And those field goals end up costing the Rams, biting the Rams in the ass in the fourth quarter. But this was about really one player, and that's Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, spectacular in the second half. Um, started actually throwing the ball to AJ Brown, which I don't think should be that hard, considering that he's one of the most physically gifted receivers that we've seen over the last decade, and one of the legit probably top five receiver. But it, this is a big picture game. Before the season, as I'm doing the previews of, I did 10 questions, or maybe in 5 questions, NFL questions. I think yeah, it was 5 questions, and one was about the Philadelphia Eagles and just discussing what it would take for them to repeat. And I thought that Jalen Hurts would have to have a MVP caliber season circa 2022, the year they almost won the Super Bowl, but ended up coming up short and losing to the Kansas City Chiefs the first time. And Jalen Hurts, over the last 16 games, the team is 14-2. He has a quarterback rating of 108.7, completed 70% of his passes, 19 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 723 yards rushing. That's MVP type caliber and top five quarterback level of play. He's been spectacular. Um, I think we can move past the idea that if the passing game is ever faltering, that we can just let's let's move past it being on Jalen Hurts. Because last night, excuse me, Sunday afternoon, first half, that was not because of Jalen Hurts. Clearly, the Eagles were clearly not throwing the ball as much as they should, and it took them, almost getting blown out the building to be like, hey, we, down 26-7 at one point, after the Rams scored off a turnover. Let's 3 yards in a cloud of dust is not working. The Rams that contained Saquon Barkley, we have to throw the football, and you have two of the best. You have one of the best top five wideouts in the league, and you have one of the best number two wide receivers in the league in Devontae Smith. So the Eagles are more than capable of throwing the football at will when they so desire to. So it's not a case. When the passing game is struggling, I think we have to move past the part of putting that on Jalen Hurts, and not the play calling. We know the Eagles have a new offensive coordinator. There have been some talk leading up to this game about the passing game, about the lack of involvement from AJ Brown. I think AJ Brown came into this game in the first two games with something like 36 yards. It's just some insane number that AJ Brown is a legit top receiver. This guy is gifted. So he should be somewhere between 70 and 90 yards, 70, 80 and 100 yards almost every game. And listen, this is what the Eagles have. This is how the Eagles can beat you in any type of way. They can beat you in a shootout. They can beat you 14-10, 17-14. But the bottom line is, and I said this coming into the season, their defense, the running game is not going to be at the level that it was last year. That is just That's just the NFL. Like, and again, that's not to say that I don't think Saquon Barkley is going to have a very good year, but he's not rushing for 2,000 yards. Your defense probably is not going to be the number one defense in the league. I mean, how often are defenses have back to back years where you finish number one or number two or number three, top three? If they'll be top five, between top five, top 10. So those two aspects of their game of the Eagles team was going to take a small step back, not a large step, but a small step back, and you needed Jalen Hurts to fill that void to make up for that. And so far this year, he absolutely has done that. He was spectacular in the Cowboy game. Now he's spectacular in the Cowboy game, and he certainly was the reason why they won this particular game. So again, the Eagles are at the top of the heap until somebody knocks them off there, knocks them off from that standpoint. But if you are now from a Ram perspective, thinking your Rams, you're obviously annoyed that you lost this game from a home field advantage. You're probably going to have to go back to Philly. But if you're the Rams, you have to feel like, hey, not only can we compete with this team, we can beat this team. I mean, the Rams were kicking Philly's ass up and down the field physically. They were manhandling Philadelphia. We know Lane Johnson goes out. That's a huge injury. Their offense looked dead in the water without Lane Johnson. They went to the Matt Pryor. That didn't work out. Then they went to Fred. They went to the third string tackle. I think Fred Johnson, and he settled things. And the offensive line was fine in the second half after the Ram defense was living in the backfield against Jalen Hurts in the first half. But if I'm the Rams, the Rams ran the ball for 160 yards against Philadelphia. That's not, that's something. That's something to kind of file away for the future. The Rams, we know how well coached the Rams are. The Rams can make a move at the trade deadline. The Rams are right. To me, I'm looking at it's Philadelphia is at the top on the AFC. There's no question about it. Really at the top of the NFL, for that matter. Uh, if we're doing the power rankings, league power rankings, I would have Philly and Buffalo one and two. But in terms of the AFC, I think the Rams are clearly a number two. To be honest, we are a number two. And again, we'll talk more about what Detroit did last night, as impressive as that was. But I think when I look at the Rams, I trust Matt Stafford over Jared Goff. To be perfectly honest with you, and I think I would take Sean McVay over Dan Campbell. So the Rams to me have to be saying to themselves, the last two times that we've played in Philadelphia, we've had a chance to win both games on the final play or in the final possession. Last in back in January, they had the ball down 28-22 inside the 25-yard line, had a chance to win. And this game, you get two, not one but two blocked kicks. Um, they yeah, so you block I mean, that's 6 points right there. That's 6 points off the board. That was the difference. That was in essence what the difference in the game. And give Phil, you didn't get, of course, you give Philadelphia credit for blocking the kick. Jordan Davis blocks the kick and returns it for not even a clinching touchdown. They were Philly was up by one, but so they would have won the game regardless. But kind of like icing on the cake touchdown by him. So if I'm the Rams, come out the game again annoyed that I lost, but feeling pretty damn good about myself. Big picture that I can play with the big boys. Now the top dog, I'm right there with the top dog. So that was a great fun game to watch. Those are two teams who I feel like have a feeling will meet again before before the postseason is done, and before the playoffs are over with. Deep dive around the league. The most impressive win of the week, without question, to me, took place last night in Baltimore with what Detroit did to the Baltimore Ravens. Detroit wins the game 38-30, but it's not so much them winning the game; it's absolutely how they won the game. Uh, it's been a long time since I've seen someone take apart Baltimore, a good Baltimore team, a Lamar Jackson Baltimore quarterback team, take them apart physically on the offensive and defensive lines. You're talking about Detroit had 426 yards of total offense. They absolutely ran the ball down Baltimore's throats. They had two drives of 96 or more yards. They had a 10-minute drive in the first 10-minute drive in the believe in the first half, maybe the second half. Um, it had to be one of the halves. But they had a 10-minute drive and again two or more drives of 96 or more yards. And on the defensive end, I'm gonna tell you, they despite the 30 points that they gave up, um, and really that last touchdown was garbage time. Baltimore was not going to win the game at that point. 7 sacks, and I thought they did a phenomenal job of containing Lamar Jackson, keeping Lamar Jackson in the pocket. He had one long run, and that's about it. He had like a 25-yard run, and that basically was it for the game. He threw the ball well, but they really controlled him, kept him in the pocket, kept him contained in the pocket. He took a lot of hits. That was that was the most impressive win of the week, and one of the more impressive wins of the early season. Detroit, after stumbling week one against Green Bay, has found his offense. They put up 52 against the Bears, put up 38 against Baltimore. I know Baltimore had a couple defensive players out. I get it. So especially two people that can get to the quarterback. But I'm telling you right now, Baltimore is 1-2, but it's not the fact that they're 1-2. They were 1-2 last year. It's not the fact that who they lost to. Like if I told you, hey, anybody could lose to Buffalo and Detroit. Those are two teams that have Super Bowl aspirations. Those are two teams that we expect to go to make long, deep playoff runs. Okay. It's not the fact that they've lost to those two teams. It's how they've lost to those two teams. You blow a 15-point lead. You cough up a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter against Buffalo, a team that it was supposed to be the revenge game, a team that you're going to have to probably go through to get to the Super Bowl within your conference. And then you gave up, and even in that game, your defense gave up almost 500 yards of offense. Buffalo's offense did whatever they wanted to, especially in the second half, in the fourth quarter, second half in particular. You get to Detroit, and you absolutely get a mud hole stomped in your ass defensively, and just destroyed at the line of scrimmage, just absolutely obliterated at the line of scrimmage. Those are two telling losses for the Baltimore Ravens. And to me, I look at Baltimore, I see a team that wins because of its talent. They're going to win a number of games because they just have superior talent to their opponents. That's not going to win you a Super Bowl. That won't even get you to a Super Bowl. That comes back and bites you in the ass at some point. Winning games just strictly off your talent. We're not talking about them winning games because of execution. We're not talking about them winning games because of situational football. We're not talking about them winning games because of high level coaching. Now, again, I Lamar Jackson can't play defense. So like I like he's playing quarterback. He's the number one rated quarterback in the league right now. I think he has 9 touchdowns and no interceptions. Almost threw one last night that was dropped. But 9 touchdowns, no interceptions, 141.1 rating. Can't play that much better than that. Derrick Henry continues to put the ball on the ground. That's 3 games, 3 fumbles. That's something that's an issue that's gonna have to get fixed. But this team is a little soft right now. They're a little soft mentally. They're a little soft defensively, physically, and that it is concerning. These two losses and how they've lost are very concerning to me. If I were a Baltimore Raven fan, and if I'm a Baltimore Raven fan, let me be honest with you. Know how we know how talented they are in the NFL. Talent is not enough. It's just not enough to be honest with you. So that was a game where, yeah, you give the credit to Detroit, but there's certainly some warning signs with Baltimore with the Ravens. Big picture, embarrassing loss for Green Bay against Cleveland. You absolutely cannot lose that game. If you want to be taken seriously as a Super Bowl contender, you can't lose to the Cleveland Browns with Joe Flacco quarterbacking, especially with a 10-0 lead. Your defense had been all world through the first two games. Cleveland does not have a lot of talent offensively. Cleveland has some players on defense. We know Miles Garrett, frankly, is one of the best players in the league. So they have players defensively. That's a legit top 10 defense with Jim Schwartz calling the shots. But offensively, they shouldn't be able to score 13 points against Green Bay's defense. They shouldn't. Like they should not have been able to score for them to cough up that lead that way. That's an embarrassing loss for LaFleur. Embarrassing loss. And again, Jordan Love's stats look decent, but you can't throw an interception in a fourth quarter interception like that. I'm sorry. That like if you're going to elevate to the next level of quarterbacking, if you're going to become an elite quarterback, the only thing missing from Jordan Love is consistency. One week he can look like a legit top five quarterback. Another week he can look like he doesn't even belong in the NFL as a starting quarterback. So that's how he played last year for the most part up until the end of the season. So again, Green Bay, that's those are again, that's a loss that's a game you can whoever wins the Super Bowl this year, I promise you, whoever wins the Super Bowl or gets to the Super Bowl will not have a loss on their docket of that magnitude in terms of how poor it is. I promise you. You're gonna lose a couple games here and there. I'm not even calling Green Bay to go 15-2 or 14 or even 14-3 for that matter. But you can't lose to the Cleveland Browns. I'm sorry, you just can't. That's a loss that you absolutely that can't happen, even in September. And normally I excuse September football considering it seemingly at times is like extended preseason. Guys are still trying to figure out things physically. Uh, there's still, the weather hasn't kicked in. It's hot in a lot of places, so conditioning is an issue at times. That's all well and good. We understand September, how unpredictable September can be. But if I'm going to take you seriously as a Super Bowl contender, that's a loss that can't be on your record. Great win for the Chargers. 23-20 over Denver. It's a very important win. Chargers are 3-0, and not only are they're not just 3-0 overall, they're 3-0 in the AFC, and more importantly, they are 3-0 in the AFC West. So they already have a win over all their divisional opponents. That division is not strong this year, with Kansas City seemingly taking a slight step back. I don't know how big the step is, but we don't think Kansas City can win a Super Bowl right now. The way that they're looking, I know they won against the lowly Giants on Sunday night, but that division is there for the taking for the Chargers. We know how great of a coach John Harbaugh can be, especially in his second year at places. He's won everywhere he's gone. They play the right way as far as, you know, they want to win at the line of scrimmage with the running game and with the defensive line and with taking away the run. Herbert, we know what Herbert's all about, how talented he is and legit top 5 or 6 quarterback in the league. So that team is going to be interesting. And like I said, there's a opening in the AFC. Now, I still think Buffalo and Baltimore are the two best teams, but after that, who do you have after that you trust completely? I don't trust Kansas City completely right now. I give them their champions respect, and I respect Holmes, and I respect Mahomes and Andy Reid to keep the ship afloat and not totally just go off, uh, totally lose it and not make the playoffs. But after that, like the AFC East, you get past Buffalo. What is the AFC East looking like? I mean, the AFC South. We'll talk more about Indianapolis over the course of the program, but it's there's a couple spaces to be had. There's some moves to be made by a team outside Buffalo and Baltimore. So that third spot of a team that can jump into possibly contention is really out is out there for the taking. To be honest with you, it's right there. Remember with these injuries to Joe Burrow, so forget about Cincinnati. We had to wait on Kansas City. I don't trust Pittsburgh. I don't trust the AFC East. I don't trust the AFC South as a division. So again, if you're the Chargers, there's opportunity here. There's an opening for the Chargers to really make a run this year. There's absolutely an opening for them to make a run. And again, these are not your typical Chargers from the standpoint of Jim Harbaugh is that great of a coach. Jim Harbaugh is that great of a coach. Again, it's a big time win for the Chargers, especially the schedule is not hard. Like their schedule, their schedule, uh, they so at the Giants, home to the Commanders, at Miami, home to Indianapolis, home to Minnesota, at Tennessee, home to Pittsburgh. Um, yeah, that's not exactly murderer's row of a schedule. So they have the Chargers have a great opportunity to really take a leap this year, especially with some of these injuries to these quarterbacks and with just the AFC seemingly um, not as top heavy as it once was. Once you get past when Kansas City being somewhat down is really like if you had three teams up at top, you basically said that's the conference is basically a wrap. Two teams, and one of those teams seemingly is vulnerable with how they play late game situations and seemingly can't get out their own way. I mean, you could find yourself in the AFC Championship against Buffalo. Like it's not out of the realms of possibility if I'm a Charger fan that I feel like I could have a legit chance to get to the AFC Championship. That's not crazy, not by any stretch of the imagination. Best of the 21st century with the NBA season about a month away. We'll start, giving the NBA some looking back at some NBA moments that defined the last 25 years. This just randomly, and I mean randomly, just popped up in my head. There was no reason. Trust me, I was not, haven't been watching NBA basketball, haven't been thinking about Steph Curry. This just was super random, but Steph Curry's, to me, signature game of his career, uh, game four of the 2022 NBA Finals. So Steph Curry coming into this series uh, already was a three-time champion, had never won Finals MVP. Two of those championships. Now he was robbed in Finals MVP in 2015. Andre Iguodala should not have been Finals MVP, and the writers that Finals MVP vote has not aged well at all. And the idea that LeBron James got votes for that is just comical to me. But anyway, because I don't believe in rewarding losing. But coming into this finals, so he's a three-time champion. Two of the finals, he was not the best player in those particular finals or on his team. Remember 17, 18, that was the Kevin Durant show. And Kevin Durant was clearly the best player on that team, especially in the finals. He outperformed everybody in those two finals, including LeBron James. Um, you get a strange 2022 Western Conference where you have the conference is kind of in transition. Uh, Denver, no Jamal Murray. They would win the championship the following year with Jamal Murray being healthy. The Lakers just were not very. the Lakers were not very good. 2 years removed from their championship, that window had closed up with that particular team. Memphis wasn't ready. You had a Dallas team that wasn't quite there yet. So there was an opening for the Warriors to get to the finals. They did. Um, they played a Boston team that seemed that it was only going to be a matter of time before they won their first championship. Little did we know that it would take 2 more years. We thought it was going to be somewhat sooner. So they're down 2-1 in the series. It's at the Boston Garden. Well, TD Squared, not the Boston Garden, but in Boston, and he delivers a performance again, down 2-1. He delivers again to me the signature performance of his career, uh, postseason or regular season. 43 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 14 and 26 from the field, 17 and 14 from the 3-point line. He absolutely controlled the entire game, took the game over, and really Boston never. Not only did he win that game, Boston didn't win a game after that. They were going to win the series. That was the beginning of Golden State completely taking over that series. So they go from 2-1 to winning the series 4-2. They clinch it in Boston in game six. Um, for that finals, 31 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 48% from the field, 43% from the 3-point line. And that was not a vintage Golden State team. That, to me, by far was Golden State's weakest team out of all the championship teams. It's not even close. Andrew Wiggins was Golden State's best player. Andrew Wiggins, and he was spectacular. He was great in that finals. 18 points and 8 rebounds. Was it? Played lockdown, played great defense. Um, Draymond and Klay Thompson were on the decline, clearly on the decline. Uh, you know, Draymond Green in that series was okay. That wasn't like that was he those two players. So that, he really, this was Steph's finals. This was his playoff run. And this is the championship that took his career and took his status to a different level. Now, not to the level to where we should be putting him over Kobe Bryant. So not that far. But Steph went from all time great, thought he was all time great even before that finals, but to seemingly an immortal player. Fourth championship, two without Durant. Okay, one, one post Kevin Durant, and again coming off. Remember, uh, they go, they went to the finals 5 straight years, right? So they go from 15 to 19. Um, Durant gets hurt in the finals. He leaves for Brooklyn. Um, of course Klay Thompson was hurt. So 2020 was a nothing year for them. They were not factored in 2020. 2021, they were out in the play-in. They lose in the play-in to the Lakers and to Memphis, despite the fact that Steph had an MVP, was finished. I think Steph finished second in MVP voting in 2021. It was spectacular. So, 2022, we thought the team was going to be very good, would be back, but not back to championship status. I did not think the Warriors were going to win a championship in 2022. They were not on my list of teams that I thought could and would win a championship. But this was, those playoffs were all about Steph Curry. It was all about his just really cementing his status as not only one of the greatest players of all time, but in right there with LeBron James as the defining player of this generation. And to be honest with you, I don't think he's a better player than I think LeBron James has been the best player of this generation. I could make a case that Steph Curry has been the defining player of this generation. It's like when I look back at this generation, I might think Steph Curry might be the first name or be the first image that comes to mind, even over LeBron James. That I mean, be perfectly honest with you. The style of play, the revolutionizing it with the 3-point shot, uh, not just the championships, but just the overall impact on the game that he's had on the floor. So I think LeBron's a better player, but you can make a case Steph Curry has been the defining player of this particular generation, in particular the last 10 years. But this without question, and he's had big games. I mean, he's been tremendous in the finals. Put up some great numbers in the finals. We all remember, the record. He holds the record for most points in overtime back in 2016 against Portland when he came back from the knee. Um, he had the 33 in a closeout game against Houston back in, I want to say, 20. This year Durant was hurt, so I think it was 2019. Yeah, 2019 because Durant was hurt, and 2018 was that game 7. So he's had moments in the playoffs. Like he's had like it's not like this. He's had some great moments in the playoffs, but this was the finals. It's the Celtics, and again, up until this point, he did not have a NBA Finals MVP. That, of course, would change with this series, as he clearly was the unanimous Finals MVP during that particular series. And again, fourth championship, uh, and one of the defining athletes, not only in the NBA, one of the defining athletes of the 21st century. Period. To be perfectly honest with you, who won the week? I never thought I ever would ever say this on the Real Deal podcast. Daniel Jones. You want to say, how could Daniel Jones win the week? Well, don't look now. Daniel Jones is number one in QBR. He's on a team that is 3-0, that we didn't no one expected to be 3-0. He's completing 70%, 71% of his passes. In terms of quarterback rating, he is number 5 in quarterback rating. And number 4. Marcus Mariota's played one game, so I don't even count him. Really number 4 behind Lamar Jackson. I mean, should I even count Carson? I don't even count Carson Wentz either. I'm sorry. He only played one game. So really, behind Lamar Jackson, Jared Goff, Daniel Jones is the third rated quarterback at 111.7. I'm not counting guys who only played one game. Sorry. But this is, could he be this year's Sam Darnold? Who knows? This is quickly shaping up into be one of the better feel good stories in the NFL as far as redemption. He was absolutely left for dead by the Giants and amongst other organizations, and rightfully so. He had been terrible for the last few years. Hadn't had a big year, a quality year going back 3 or 4 years now. Even as a backup, wasn't any good. And he finds his way on this team that has talent on both sides of the ball, especially on the line of scrimmage. And and they're not winning. He's not. He's more than a game manager too. They're winning because of him. His running, he's been accurate, which was not a Daniel Jones mo, to say the least. And these are not empty calorie stats. The team is 3-0. And again, I mentioned earlier in the podcast that division is not like that. That division is a winnable division for everybody except Tennessee. To be honest with you, with in regard, Houston, Jacksonville, all Indianapolis, should all feel like they can win that division. So Daniel Jones for 1 week has won the week, leading the Indianapolis Colts to a 3-0 record. Should be an interesting matchup they have against the Rams come Sunday. In regards to college football, 3 teams made statements: Texas Tech, Indiana, and Oklahoma. Uh, Texas Tech goes to Utah. and completely shuts down the Utah Utes with their defense. Absolutely should be taken seriously as because not only a playoff contender, but maybe if they play defense like this, they could probably possibly do some damage in the playoffs. They didn't win this game with their offense; they won it with their defense. Indiana absolutely embarrasses Illinois prime time, like 63-10, uh, showing, trying, letting it be known that last season was not a fluke. As they were, a lot of people thought they shouldn't have been in the playoffs, and especially after they got embarrassed by Notre Dame in that opening round. But they're back, playing well this year. And Oklahoma, now again, the quarterback is out with the hand injury. He will be back he'll be back this season. But Oklahoma's played well. Oklahoma's played well this season. They already have a couple quality wins against Michigan and Auburn. Now both of those wins have been at home, but still they're quality play wins that will serve them right in terms of the playoff positioning. So those three teams really made statements this week in college football as we saw officially officially the end of the Clemson Tigers as a playoff contender. Clemson gets embarrassed at home to by the Syracuse Orangemen, 34-21. Um, there's been a lot of piling on with Clemson. I'll say this, and I'm not like I'll be the first to admit I'm not the biggest fan of Dabo Sweeney. I respect Dabo Sweeney's record and what he's accomplished with the two national championships, but I'm not the biggest. I'm not. I'm just not a Dabo guy per se. For various reasons, and then it's not just his politics. Um, that doesn't help. But I'll say this to kind of I don't think I'm defending Dabo, excuse me, but I will kind of defend his record, uh, his overall body of work. So eh, from 2015 to 2020, Clemson finished. I have it right here. They finished 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and 2. So 6 straight years they didn't finish lower than three, than third. Okay. Um, that four national championship appearances, two national championships, right, and complete domination of the ACC. As now, it's not because they don't have talent that they're not winning these games. The last four out of their last five recruiting classes, they've had top 11 recruiting classes. Everybody wants to point to the lack of his lack of utilization of the transfer portal. Okay, but the bottom line is if you're recruiting top 10 to top 15 classes, you still have a boatload of talent uh, in your program if you're getting that high, those type level of recruits, especially if you can recruit in state, which he still is able to. The state of South Carolina. The days of these long, dominant coaching runs are just frankly over. Those Bobby Baldwin, Joe Paterno, Woody Hayes, Bear Bryant, like you're just not going. We're just not going to see that anymore. It's just not like it's unrealistic. I I would I would warn Georgia fans to really really appreciate what Kirby Smart is doing right now. Because I just looked at his record. Kirby Smart is in his 10th year at Georgia. Eh, So since Kirby Smart got to Georgia, he has had one bad season. Had an 8-5 season, finished unranked, and won a meaningless Liberty Bowl. Since then, 2017, they finished second, losing a national championship game. They finished seventh, fourth, seventh, back-to-back national championships, first and first, fourth, and last year finished sixth. So that is, you're talking about from 2017 to 2020, you're talking about 8 straight years of finishing no lower than number seven with multiple playoff runs, with 3 playoff runs, 2 national championships. Like, that is an incredible, unbelievable run to have in today's landscape. That 20 to 25 year run is just not happening anymore. And by the way, go look back at Joe Paterno's and Bobby Bowden's last like 8 to 10 years. They were, I mean, it didn't end that well, to be honest with you. So this lifetime college coach that stays, the classic coach, the Dean Smiths, Krzyzewski, even going college basketball, Dean Smiths, Mike Krzyzewski, John Wooden, Roy Williams, those days are done in college sports. You're not going to see that level of dominance, that sustained, not sustained excellence, sustained dominance. Dominance. What Nick Saban did at Alabama will never be replicated ever in college sports ever, and especially let alone college football. It's just not going to happen. There's one Nick Saban. That's it. That's it. It's just like it's not going to happen. It's impossible to do. Like I said, if you're Georgia, appreciate what Kirby Smart is doing right now. They've had a hell of a run during his tenure at Georgia, and I promise you, when Kirby Smart leaves Georgia, you as a Georgia fan will never see a run like what Kirby Smart had ever. So I gotta give Dabo, you gotta give Dabo some credit. You can't bury Dabo too much when you look at what he's done at Clemson. At the same time, it just might be time for him to go. Like like it does nothing lasts forever. Dabo's been at Clemson what 17 years now. That is a long time to be coaching in today's in the 21st century. Like he came to Clemson, uh, what year and 2008. So 17 years is a long time. That's not that. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at in today's age. Uh, so I would keep that in mind. Now again, it might when it just might be done. That's fine, and that's okay. If it's done, he's had a Hall of Fame career. He's been one of the better coaches of this generation. His record speaks for itself. Um, it is what it is, but I just gotta keep that in mind before I just go throw dirt on Dabo Sweeney and their struggles now. At some point, like nothing lasts forever. Like at some point, the program was going to slip and fall back. Again, there's been one Nick Saban. There's been one Nick Saban. That's it. Like Nick Saban did not have bad seasons. 11-2 in a playoff appearance. That was a bad season for Nick Saban. 11-3 in a playoff appearance. 12-2. Those are bad for Nick Saban's. Two or more losses. 2 to 3 losses was considered to be bad for Nick Saban in Alabama. It's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Ril Dil podcast. Have a great rest of the week. I will see you next time. So long.